Leap is the brand new standard sampler in Kontact's default view, and it lets us play combinations of loops and one-shots, as well as curated expansion kits specifically designed for Leap. In this video, I want to look at the different ways of loading Leap kits and different sounds into Leap. Now, we can use the side pane browser or the library browser, and first thing we can do is double-click a factory or user kit from the Leap category to load the entire Leap kit. So here, we've been working a lot in the side browser view, so let's work in this view for a bit. I'm going to go to the Leap page, and right now I'm only showing 2 libraries. That's all I have loaded in, but let's say I'll go to Lo-Fi Vibes, and I can just double-click one of these, and it'll load in a Leap kit with everything mapped out, and I can hold down the keys and trigger the loops. And so on. And you can see up here that it's an instrument actually loaded in. And it's got a play page, an edit page, send effects, performance effects. We're going to explore it more in detail in another video. So I'm just going to get rid of this kit for a moment and look at some other ways of getting Leap kits going. Now, in the side pane browser or the library browser, again, we can double-click a sample from the loops or the one-shot category. So anything in here, and let's say I'll go into another one. I'll go into here, one of these one-shots. I'll double-click it, and it'll automatically now create. Here, I'm getting the audition sound here. Let's turn that off. It'll load in and create a Leap instrument, and the sample is loaded into the first slot. And it brings us to the edit page, but it's the same interface. And of course, you can tune the sample, the start key, and so on. And here, it's just called New Default because it wasn't a predefined Leap kit. So again, I'm going to get rid of this. Now, another thing we can do is we can drag and drop samples either from the side pane browser's loops and one-shots categories, or even from a folder on the desktop. So let's look at some ways of doing that. I'm going to go back to the library browser. I'm going to go to one-shots, and I can easily, of course, go into here and drag and drop these samples in. But I want to import some libraries that aren't part of the native instruments ecosystem. So I'm going to bring up this import window here, and I'm going to uncheck import subfolders as individual libraries, and you'll see in a moment what that's going to do. I'm going to press add, and it brings up a Finder window, and I can navigate to anywhere on my hard drive. And here, I've got some free samples and loops from a company called Cymatics, and I'm going to load in, let's say, this one, and you'll see that there are various subfolders in there. So let's go open. And we see this indicated here, and I'm going to just close this. So now I have this additional content available to here, and all the subfolders are all just sort of consolidated into this one big directory. And of course, I could have separated that had I chosen to. So now what I can do is just drag and drop these in. So let's go back here, and I can see the samples, and of course, I can audition them. All right, so let's take that, and I'll just drag it in to an empty area of the rack, and it'll open a new Leap instrument and load the sample into the first slot. And I can trigger it on the C key. And again, we can set the start and tuning, but that's going to be in another video. Now, you'll notice we have group and single mode. If I go to single mode, it'll be mapped out. And we can drag and drop samples directly onto the keys. So maybe I want to take that one and drag it onto the next key. And I'll just take this one and drag it onto the next one. And you can map them like that. Now in group mode, we can also select multiple samples. So I've got 3 selected here, and I'll drag it onto the next slot. It'll be mapped there, and then the next adjacent slots. Now also, when we're on the edit page and I select an empty slot, I can just drag and drop something right into there and map it that way. Now, another thing we can do in group mode is we can command click on Mac, and that's control click on Windows directly on a key here. And it brings up a context menu where I can remove a sample, duplicate it, or bring up the browser and load a sample directly from there. Let's say I want to load something that's not in this pack that I've loaded. I'll just choose one at random, and there I've loaded that into there now. So you don't actually have to have your content within the Kontakt browser. You can import it directly from your Finder or Windows Explorer that way. Now, there's another thing we can do. I'm just going to delete this instrument. We can create a new empty Leap kit by double-clicking an empty space in the rack. So there I've double-clicked and created an empty one. We can drag and drop and populate it. And I'll double-click again underneath, and now I've created 2 Leap instruments. And we can also, just get rid of this one, use the File menu and just go New Leap preset, and that'll call up a new empty instrument. And again, we can populate it as we want. And then we can always right-click in the browser to save the Leap kit or set MIDI input or clear it. And when you do save your own Leap kits, when we're in the library browser on the Leap page, and if you filter by user, it'll appear here and there'll be a custom category for your original Leap kits. We'll continue with more in the next video.